All right, cool. All right, so I got my guy Jay Merrill on here. All right, this is my I guess first series I'm trying out. It's called For the Love of Basketball. So just kind of talking to guys that I met through my journey and let them kind of speak on their journey as well. So I got my like I said, I got Jared Merrill on here. He's the head coach of Coker. Me and him played in Lebanon about 10 years ago now, and we've been good friends ever since we left there. So I'm gonna get into it now and just start asking Jay, a couple questions. So when did you get started? Well, first off, where are you from? What's your background, hometown?
Yeah, I'm from Abilene, Texas, man. West Texas,
Right,
born and raised. I actually picked up basketball obviously early. My dad's from Philadelphia, played college at Abilene Christian, so
right,
he taught me the game early and kind of been addicted to it since probably 4 or 5 years old, sitting in front of the TV and watching the Lakers and the Celtics and
right.
Um, so yeah, born and raised in Abilene, Texas, and been a basketball addict since a young man.
So would you say like that you probably got serious passion, maybe like starting out playing like rec ball, like YMCA? Is that when you kind of like caught the bug, like when you just wanted to or first off, did you play any other sports or? And also,
Yeah,
is that when
yeah,
you kind of got started like playing rec league? Is that when you kind of got like the bug for playing?
yeah. City league ball and just playing around the neighborhood. It was playing on other people's goals and my goal. If we rarely had a goal because we would always end up breaking it, me and my brother. So my
Right,
parents stopped saying, we weren't going to buy you a goal. So I
right,
went
right,
around, had people in my neighborhood, and I mean, we played from sun up to sundown. That was just something we did every day. So
right. Now,
that,
fast forward into like middle school. I guess that's when records start counting. You're playing against other schools. First off, like, how was your talent level in middle school? Like, were you the man, or did you have to learn, or like, how was your middle school experience? Just around that time when like scores start getting taken and referees and coaching plays are involved, and it's more coaching is involved then as well.
yeah, I was ahead of kids because of the knowledge of my dad and just the fundamentals and stuff that I had. Slow, I was very slow, but I could shoot and could pass and could had a basketball IQ as a young kid.
Right.
But I went to a private school, so I was kind of ahead of some of those kids, and didn't really have to work as hard playing against smaller schools and kids that maybe weren't
Right.
as talented. So
Were you tall now in middle school? Do you remember how tall? Like, like did you stand out, or like were you kind of even with everybody else?
maybe just slightly taller than your average, middle
Okay.
school, but
Right.
nothing crazy.
Okay. Now fast forward, same thing like to high school. Now now high school is a different level. Did you play ninth grade, 10th grade, or did you play like JV? Like how that kind of start out when you got to high school?
No doubt. I left the private school and went to public school in 10th grade. So ninth grade, I played at a private school, and once I moved and went to the public school in 10th grade, it was kind of an eye opener, I guess.
Right.
The work ethic was different. The players were different. They had been running and lifting things that we weren't doing. So obviously, once I got there as a sophomore, I was completely behind. Um, Quit the team, didn't play basketball at all as a sophomore.
But
I
you was on
played,
varsity though, right?
no. As a
Okay.
sophomore, went to that public school. I was a bum. That's what I was on.
Right.
BUM.
Me too. All right. I was B team in 10th grade too. Like didn't play. Like got the dress for like some varsity games and just got in when it was like like a blowout. So
Right. Well,
I
for
was
me, it was I walked in the fall off season, and you had to run and you had to lift, and so like I said, I ended up quitting, and I played golf my sophomore year and didn't even touch a basketball, didn't play at all.
right.
So
And the reason I asked that, because I'm pretty sure maybe somebody on your team in the area, because some kids were studs in like middle school. Like like this kid was like killing everybody in rec, killing in middle school. So I like to hear that. This like back then that you wasn't as I mean like in hindsight wasn't as good as you were then as you were now.
right.
Now, speaking like in high school, were there some guys that we may know that are like played in college, played pro, that were like in your area that was good players in in your area where you play high school in Abilene?
Yeah, our area it was like Midland High was the team. They had Blake Johnson. Blake went to Oklahoma.
Okay.
He was the big time player in our area.
Okay.
But a lot of really solid players in Abilene. Abilene in West Texas is more known for football, so it's a football, baseball, but football's king, obviously, in all Texas, but West Texas for sure. It's football comes first, and we had
Right.
a really good football talent. So
Yeah, and even speaking of like football or pro, like was there anybody that grew up around like in high school now that we may know now, like that's playing football, basketball, baseball, just doing something that was in, like in your area, or even if it's from your high school as well?
yeah, went to church with John Lackey. John Lackey obviously was a big time pitcher for the Cubs and
Right.
I think the Red Sox. But
Okay.
Cedric Benson, rest in peace.
Okay.
He was also a guy that was from the Midland area. But just a lot of talent that came out of our place that went and played professional baseball or football.
Okay. And like, not to get away from the high school thing, how was your success? Like, were your teams good? Did you guys compete for state? Or did you guys, how was your, from like, maybe like, did you have like a best year, worst year? Like, what was, like, from you was in high school, what was the highest, like, what was the farthest that you guys made it? Like, if you guys won a chip or lost first round in North Half or wherever, like, how was your success in high school?
Yeah, well, not being on the team as a sophomore, our team, watching from the stands, the team was really good. We had a new coach. He changed the culture. We had a bunch of really good players. And those guys did a lot of things at that school, at Abilene High, that were kind of, they were standout things that hadn't really been done before, especially in the recent past.
Right.
So they did some things, but my team personally, we were terrible. I didn't play till I was a senior. So
okay. Now fast forward into your senior year. Let's go to the end of your senior year. Of course, any senior that's playing basketball, this is when where your recruiting probably picks up, like your junior year, summer. So let's kind of just go and let's kind of walk through your recruiting process. Like, when did you first start getting recruited, and how'd you go about signing with your school that you went to?
Yeah. So real quick, I guess sophomore year I don't play. I get cut. I play golf. I come back as a junior. He allows me to come back. I do the same thing. I quit again in probably the middle of September.
Okay.
And then, so I'm out. I'm not playing. I come back. He lets me come back like in November, like a day before a game, 2 days before a game.
Right.
And so I come back and have one practice. I have to do all this running and all this stuff that I don't meet. What he wants me to do in terms of my time.
This your junior year, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
I've quit 2 times as a junior.
Okay.
And, so anyway, leading up to my senior year, he allowed me to come back again as a senior. I grew, but my work ethic changed over that summer. My love changed. I had a really good year as a senior, and so I played no AAU.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So okay.
But had a good season, 20 and 10 for a really bad team.
Okay.
And so ended up going to Oklahoma Christian, where I had a connection with that head coach and had been to camps. My uncle had went to school there, so
now
it was the only fit really that I had. That and one JUCO offer. So
now, when did they start recruiting you or becoming serious about, and that this could be possibly a school where that's gonna offer me a scholarship, and and they want me to be here? Like, when did they start recruiting you? Like, after
it was probably my junior year, my
okay.
junior summer, when I was kind of transitioning. I went to a camp there and did well.
Right.
And they probably saw some of my talent and stayed in touch throughout the year.
And they say, okay. Now, the next thing, was there any other schools that could have been, like, was it like the top 3, or did you have any, or it was just them?
Yeah, they were the only school, and I didn't get a full ride as a freshman.
Right. Okay. Oh, so you didn't. So you came in on like an academic, or
came in and didn't have a full ride, and knew going in that I was going to redshirt, so I wasn't good enough. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
You're right, and that's why. And to kind of piggyback, like, I know your story a little bit. So now we're in college, and I know how you ended up and what you accomplished in college. Now, going from your freshman year to where you ended up, I'm gonna let you tell your story about the awards and everything that you accomplished. We're coming in as a freshman, and I know what you did. now, and I'm gonna let you talk. Could you see yourself ended up your college career, how you ended up being player of the year, being okay? So kind of
Well, obviously I had that confidence, and
right,
every freshman does. I redshirted, and I thought I should have been starting. You can't tell a freshman that they're not going to play,
right,
they're not
yep,
ready.
yep,
But I always thought in my mind that I could play in the NBA, so I always had that vision and that dream, even though my work ethic didn't match up to that at that
right,
point. But yeah, freshman year was rough. 165. I was 6'5", weak.
right,
Couldn't really I was a 3 really that couldn't guard nothing. And then I wasn't strong enough to play around the basket and couldn't jump. So I had a lot of things that were against me. But had I guess, somewhat of an IQ, but I could shoot. So that's what kind of set me apart a little bit.
right. Now, my question is, when did you feel that you were comfortable being when you like, okay, I'm a college player, I'm competing? Like, when did you? Because I know, like me, I kind of struggled coming in as a freshman. Even I went JUCO, we had 8 guys to go D1, so I came in and we played zone all through high school. So I came in not knowing what help defense was.
Yeah.
Like the ball would be on the opposite side, and I'll be in the corner like hugging my man, my coach, like like what are you doing? I can't play if you can't guard. So like my confidence was affected early. When I got to college. So when did you feel like when did it click and you feel like that I'm here, like that I can compete, and you feel that you was competitive enough to start getting playing time and start feeling that that I can that I can do this. Like when is that?
Yeah. It was halfway through my sophomore year,
Right.
really my redshirt sophomore year, when the light bulb came on,
Okay.
and it was over a Christmas break game. I wasn't starting. I averaged 3 points a game, that fall.
Right.
And one of our guys went down, and I ended up getting a start. I think I had 29 or something in that game. And next game I had 30, and this is as a redshirt sophomore. So
Right.
ended up finishing my redshirt sophomore, averaging 15. And it was just like that one game, getting that opportunity and seeing like, wow, like I could actually do this.
Right.
And obviously there was a lot of work that led up to that.
Right.
Just that one opportunity, getting to play, and that confidence kind of really went up.
And speaking of that, I'm glad you said that. Do you think that redshirt year helped you out, just having that year of not counting towards you, as your 4 years that you can compete at a college level? Do you think that year kind of prepped you by practicing with the team, lifting kind of before, not using that year coming in as like a true freshman and probably not playing at all? So do you think that
100%. And I wasn't ready,
right.
So I wasn't going to play a ton. I would have wasted a year. And so that was huge for me, staying in the gym, practicing, being with the team, attempting to lift. A lot of my stuff didn't come till really my freshman summer. Redshirt
Right.
freshman summer is when I really got dedicated to the weight room.
Right.
But yeah, it was vital.
And the reason I say the same thing because I'm from Starkville and Mississippi State. They wanted me to redshirt, but my senior, I'm like all state. I averaged almost 24. Like, why am I not getting a scholarship? And like now looking back on it, if I would have went there as a freshman, I wouldn't have smelt the court like at all because I wasn't physically ready. I wasn't mental shit. I couldn't play at a JUCO.
Right.
My freshman year, so let alone but me, thinking that I think at that age too, like me, because like when you start getting like those accolades, like first team all state, and you like like I'm going D1 and I'm gonna be the man, not knowing that you got a junior, senior there that's 6'5", 220, and he's got 100+ games under his belt,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows the ins and outs of stuff that you can already go through. So that's why I asked him about that redshirt year. And looking back, I wish I could have done something like that, as well. But now,
I wasn't excited about it, and most kids aren't. If you can find a kid that understands what that red shirt's about and uses it in a positive way, it can really help you.
Right. Okay. Now, fast forward to the end. Your senior year. Well, also in college too. What was was your senior year? Was that your best year as far as record? Why?
Yeah, that was our best year.
How far did you guys go in the? And also, where'd you go as well? I don't think we even said your school.
I went to an NAI school, Oklahoma Christian, which is in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Right.
So yeah, our senior year we won 27 games and we had a bunch of really good players, and I think we all fit well together.
Okay.
And so we were able to obviously win a lot of games and do some good things as a team.
How far did you guys go into the the dance, or I
Yeah,
guess
it was Sweet 16. We lost in 3
Okay.
overtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't say too. Also in college, who was the best team and player you played against in college?
Well, I don't know if I don't know if it would be played against. I would guess the guy that I saw was it's not even close. When I was a redshirt freshman, a guy that went to Southern Nazarene by the name of Tyrone Ellis. I think Tyrone is a G League head coach right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Reno, but I think it's connected with the Kings.
Okay. And he was doing his thing.
Oh my God, he was different, and
Right.
obviously he played top level ACB and did a ton of things, but
Right.
there's nobody that comes close to his talent that I saw. So.
Right. And also, and I know I'm kind of going back, and you didn't play AAU with
No.
anybody. Okay.
No.
Okay. So all right. So now your senior year, now kind of reflect on the goals. I know that you got a couple of records at your school. I think it was player of the year. Just kind of, what were your accolades at the end of your senior year that you finished out there, as far as scoring, I think rebounds, and the player of the year and everything?
Yeah. I was my junior year. I got the conference player of the year, so I was a 2-time conference player of the year. And
what's that conference again?
It was the SAC conference, Sooner Athletic.
Okay.
And so senior year, I was a national player of the year, and so I had a lot of accolades. But I think it was, it was hard work, but it was, I was a 4, so somebody had to pass me the ball.
Right.
So teammates did a great job in that, and pretty much when I did get the ball, I didn't pass it much, so I shot a ton and I made some. So.
Now, getting that award, I never got anything like that. Now, like towards the end of your senior year, is that something that you kept like in the back of your head, like I think I can be player of the year, or like was it like another player that was like tick for tack? I think one year like JJ Redick and I think Adam Morrison, it was like back and forth. Like, was there any other player at the time, or like did you even have that in your head that I could be player of the year?
But, yeah, I just wanted to lead the nation in scoring and rebounding, and so I think I came in second and lead the nation in scoring at 25 or so, and missed slightly on the rebounding, but those were my goals, and obviously more of the goals were less individual and more team when I was a senior.
Right.
I did all that as a junior, and it was like, what does that mean individually? I want to win a championship. We won a conference championship. I just was really all about the team more than I ever was as a senior. That was what I was about.
Okay, so now we fast forward to the end of your senior year. You had a great career. Now, of course, the next step is playing pro. So, what was your first? How was that summer leading up? Like, did you play in any like combines? Did you get drafted? Like, did you get invited to teams? Like, how that pro? Like, what was your pro process after you finished up? Like, what was that leading up to after your senior year?
Yeah, my first place that I went with John Lucas. Stayed there for 2 months.
Okay. That's in Houston, right?
Yeah, that was the worst or the hardest thing that I ever been through.
Right. Now, was he your agent?
No, John just had it was like a combine for guys that come and work out. You work out 3 times a day. And
oh, yeah, okay. Seniors that just graduate.
So I did that. Now, and then after that, I played in the USBL.
Now,
so
was there anybody at that John Lucas camp that we may know? Guys?
Yeah. Roy Tarpley, Brandon Bass.
Okay.
Gosh, I mean, there was just a lot of talent, man. A lot of guys that played overseas, and it was just an everyday grind against elite players. So.
Okay, so you said after that you went to your first. So was your first official pro deal in the USBL?
Yes, I did an NBA workout with the Hornets. So I was there with Joey Graham and Hakeem Warwick, Jawad Williams. So I got to do that first workout. It was us 4.
Okay.
Here I am an NAI guy, and I'm with a bunch of really good players.
Right.
That I haven't ever played against. So I did that. But the USBL was my first, I guess you could call it a contract. You go and you get $300 a week. My assistant coach was Nick Nurse, and my head coach was Brian Gates. Both those guys. Brian's, I think, with Sacramento right now, or Minnesota. I can't remember where he's at, but he's an assistant in the NBA, and obviously Nick's with Toronto. So.
And So Nick Nurse was your head coach or your assistant coach?
He was the assistant, and we were with the Oklahoma Storm in Enid, Oklahoma.
Okay. Were there any other guys on that team as well that we may know that was on your USBL team? The players that we may know?
Yeah, I mean a lot. Quantus White was a guy that played at Oklahoma.
Okay.
We had a lot of kids. I did that for 3 years. But a lot of guys we played. Jamario Moon ended up going to the NBA.
Okay.
And then your boy that was with the Dodge Legend, the kid from Spain. What is it? Is it Brad?
Yeah, Brad Olison.
Yeah, Brad was there. That just a lot of talent, man. Kids coming back from the summer and hooping and getting $300 a week and just playing 3 and 4 or 5 games a week. Right. So
now was the G League? I mean, was the D League around then?
It was.
Okay.
It was.
And you said with the Hornets, now were you in the were you on their summer league?
Yeah, I did their summer league in Vegas in July, and so my next step after that, I went to Poland. That was my first, I guess, pro job in terms of
in Europe. So that was your first job in Europe outside the state.
That was in August.
Okay. So I guess now that we're overseas, kind of talk about your European journey. Maybe like how many years did you play overseas?
7 years.
Okay, and what was your what would you say that was your favorite? Your I guess your least favorite and your most favorite country, and why?
I guess I would say least favorite was, I don't know, Poland. I guess because it was my first job.
Right.
Getting adjusted and no family and being in some small town in Poland was just, it was shocking, and I wasn't ready, mentally for that. So I would say that was probably my worst experience.
And how was that? Was it just was it like from a talent standpoint? Was it just like an adjustment, just like everything would did it affect like your confidence? Because I know that we mean the same way. Like, overseas, if you have a couple bad games, it's not like college. You have the next game, you can get replaced.
Yeah.
So that's always in the back of your head because this is your job now. If somebody's paying you to do something and you're not doing your job, then of course, they'll find somebody else that can do it. So,
right.
If Poland was the least favorite, so what was your favorite place?
I think Lebanon without question, and I played really well. I led the league in scoring, and once again I shot a ton.
Right.
But I think what stood out is I met a bunch of, obviously I met you, but we had the Americans had their culture. We had our relationships with other players, and we all spent a lot of time together, and
right.
Still have relationships with a lot of those guys. We all talk still. So
right, and I guess was Poland your only job in Europe, or did you go anywhere else?
Yeah, I went to Luxembourg, Spain, and Poland. Those were my European jobs.
Those were the European places. So your main, most of your career, you was in the Middle East.
Yes, my first year I did 3 stints in Europe.
Now, outside of Lebanon, where were some other countries that you played at in the Middle East?
Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and so those are and obviously Lebanon. But I also played in Egypt. So Egypt, Bahrain, Lebanon, and Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Now, me and you know it, but a lot of people that didn't play, or didn't have knowledge of the overseas game probably wouldn't know that Europe and the Middle East is 2 different totally styles. Europe is more of the team game. A lot of people won't understand, but if you look on the stats in Europe and you see a guy averaging 23, 24, he's probably not on the best team.
No.
In Europe, if you look at it, if you see a team that has 5 guys averaging about 11, 12 a game, that's probably going to be the number 1 team. And you'd be like, dang, how's this guy why is he only averaging 12 points a game? Because in Europe, they're more emphasized on the team, right. Making the extra pass, passing up a good pass, passing up a good shot for a great shot, which is the same transition I had to make in Spain. They had to tell me to chill out because I was over there I was back in college gunning, but
yeah,
it was totally different now comparing it to the Middle East, whereas I'm like the coach gives you the ball and says just go. So that was my first experience, and I never played point guard. If you know me, I'm a shooting guard, but they had me playing point. But the coach just gave me like just free range from the game in Europe than it was to Middle East. So would you say that that was a big like plus is positive in the Middle East that you kind of just had more freedom with in the offense than you were in Europe?
Oh, no doubt. It was more entertainment, we entertained the crowd, and they wanted to see us, get buckets and dunk and, kind of be flashy. And that was my style. That was what
it's always a boost of confidence. But even like on an off night, you could have almost 20, 22, and that's considered like an off night.
Yeah.
When you're in the Middle East. Now, when you were overseas, did you win any chips anywhere? Any chips, or how far? What was the highest? I guess accomplishment you guys as far as team wise?
Yeah.
When you was overseas,
we won a cup in Bahrain, and then when I was in Saudi Arabia, we made it to the Arab Championship Finals, which was something that team never had done. And we did that with like 3 low-paying Americans, and we met up with Riyadi, and you know about Riyadi,
right?
You got 5 Americans, NBA guys. Like we battled those guys, but too much talent, and
right.
too well coached. So,
but that's why I'm gonna piggyback on now. Now, who was somebody that when the whole time when you was overseas that you got to know, there's a lot of ex-NBA guys or just guys that they may not make the NBA, but guys that people may have not heard of that were just killing overseas. So who would you say is somebody that stood out, or maybe like the best player that you played against or saw overseas, whether it be somebody past or like a current player now?
Right. Well, I don't know who I would say there. There's a lot of good talent. So it would be hard to like point out just one person, but I played against a bunch of good players and saw a ton of good talent overseas.
So it's not just like one player in particular that you got in mind that you stood out. That was just.
No, I just kind of thought it was a lot of guys that had a bunch of talent, and obviously all those guys were over there because they were good players. So nobody that I thought just there was one guy or 1 or 2 guys that were like, damn, he's unstoppable, really.
Right. Now, are there any guys that you played against? Because there are a couple young guys that was on junior teams out in Spain that are NBA guys. Now, is there anybody that you played against that's playing in the league now that we may know?
No young guys, especially, being in the Middle East. Nobody that's young that's currently playing. So me being 38, a lot of those guys are kind of heading towards retirement or in their last couple years of playing overseas.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, not to count your pockets too much or anything. Now, what country did you make? And you have to say it with the amount, but like, what country did you make your most? Was your highest contract?
Yeah, Bahrain, and then was a really good deal for me coming off Lebanon because I had that led the league in scoring. So Bahrain was a good deal for me to put some money in my pocket.
Okay.
And then ending it with going to Korea.
Okay.
Korea was good to me.
Right, and everybody knows it's kind of public information. I know it might have changed, but in Korea, it was just like a flat rate of like $25K for like Americans, right?
Yeah,
like,
a month. And that was 2010 or 2011, 2010.
Right.
That I think that's obviously gone up. Once you get to that China and Korea,
yeah,
they pay really well out there.
Shout out to Aaron. He's still over there. I'm happy to get him on here. Aaron's been over there for like 10 years, so you can just do the math.
I don't want to put his business out there.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Really well.
I'm gonna have to get him on here as well. But shout out to Aaron, still doing his thing.
No doubt.
Now, what was your first? I guess like now you said that was your top. Where you went, that was your top contract. Did you just like? What was your first big like splurge? Like when you just got home in the summertime, like I got enough money in my pocket just to. I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
But what it was, but what was your first just get home like? Man, I'm about to just buy this and like I don't care like, cause I got it.
Yeah, I mean it was coming home from Bahrain for sure, and I went right to a dealership and I bought a Denali truck.
Right.
right off the showroom floor. And so when I walked in there, the guy came to me and he kind of asked me if I was he asked me something like, what school do you go to? Kind of something, he didn't know what I was in there doing. So that kind of pumped my chest up. And
Yeah.
I could do it. And so I bought that thing immediately. I didn't even test drive it. I went and got the sucker right off. And so that just, being dumb.
Right off the lot.
Yeah, just not being smart. And I didn't negotiate it the way I should have, and should have been less hasty.
Right. But when like you said, like when you got it, everybody just wants to go in and just do that one time, just go in and just, hey, like I did it. And like I said, like I know looking back on that, you probably like, man, that was crazy. But at the time, it's something you can look back on and be like, man, like I did that. But yeah, right.
Still got it, and I'm not getting rid of it. That was my first big purchase, and could have been something better than a car, but I still got my car sitting out there.
Right. Okay. So now adding everything, I think you said, so you total amount you was overseas for, was it 7, 8?
Yep.
Total?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I guess finishing up now, once you finished up, now you're the head coach at Coker. Yep. Did you always want to coach, and was that an easy transition coming from, kind of stopping from playing overseas and transitioning into more in the coaching? When did you always want to coach?
Once I knew I was going to retire, I sent out several emails to be a GA. None of those emails were, people are busy. They can't hire you. But right. I sent out and failed on a lot of that. But the transition coming back from pro and trying to get back into the world was hard. I had 3 jobs. I worked at Coca-Cola, delivering, Coke all around Oklahoma City.
Right.
Worked at a boys' home. And I was a volunteer assistant at a private school.
Right.
That was my first get. My college coach, Tandra, or my former college alumni, gave me an opportunity to be an assistant at a high school as a volunteer. So I think I made like, $2,800 for the whole year or whatever it was, just for the season. So that was my first break, just getting to be on the floor. So I knew I wanted to be a coach, and I was extremely excited about that opportunity, and so didn't care about the money, just wanted to get my foot in there.
Right, just having that passion and still wanting to be around the game. Because if I'm not mistaken, did you go back and coach at your old college, or like a college that was in that conference?
No, one of the coaches that I had sent an email to, Adam Bohach at Southern Nazarene, I wanted to be his GA the year before.
Okay.
He didn't have a space, and so I guess after I finished that first year as being a volunteer assistant, he called me really, really late. And, something didn't work out with him for hiring, and he called me to come be an assistant. So I got an opportunity to be a full-time Division II assistant at Southern Nazarene in Oklahoma City. So okay. You just never know how things work out. I tell young guys all the time, send emails, don't just contact people when you want something. You never know how this thing shape up.
And that's kind of why I created this page, just to go to show how basketball, it's such a big, there's a lot of people that play, but it's such a small world.
Yeah.
At the same time, so I'm kind of putting this, I guess, diary together just to show people that I know, because somebody might watch this that knows you, who I don't know, but I may know them, and that's just like, Jared Merrill from where? Like, how do you know him? So it's always somebody like that who you meet, I guess, through basketball, because it's such a small world. Like, it's always somebody that knows somebody.
Right.
So and I guess fast forward, and you was at Mercer for 3-4 years.
Yeah, I was at Mercer for 4 years with Bob Hoffman, from 15 to, I guess, when was that, 18 or 19.
Right.
Was lucky enough to become a head coach for the first time. A lot of guys obviously dream of that, so it was a huge accomplishment and something I was blessed to have, and currently trying to continue to build our program. Ended up having a stroke in December. And so I was out half the season with that.
Right.
And so I've done a lot of physical therapy. I'm up, I'm walking. I have my speech, sometimes like my left side of my cheek, and it's maybe not as flexible as it should be, but I don't think it's nothing that's going to keep me from being on that sideline with my players and, being effective in the coaching game and mentoring these young men.
Right. Well, my prayers always there. I was there when it happened. You was like a brother to me.
Yeah.
So I was on the first thing smoking on the way down. So, I'm glad that everything's going back and the process is, everything's going good and we got you getting back to normal.
Yeah,
So,
brother, I appreciate you.
oh
When
yeah.
I woke up, I couldn't move, and I saw you sitting there. So you've
Right.
always been my guy.
Oh yeah. So I guess we're gonna kind of get towards the end of this. I'm gonna hit you with a couple quick hitters.
Okay.
And just ask you real quick,
With it.
who was the first player to cook you? Like somebody you just like cannot like, and it could be somebody we may not know high school, middle school, but the first guy you were just like I can't like you went home like you was upset because somebody was better than you. Like who was the first guy?
Well, I lost my job in Luxembourg, and I don't know this guy's name. He was at Rhode Island. Light-skinned guy, played the 4. We had similar games. And I mean, I think he might have had 36 or 38, and it was a big time game. And so,
what year?
I had only been there for about, maybe a month and a half, and we had lost some games. I wasn't playing very great, and boy, I mean, he chopped me up, boy, and I didn't play well. So when you lose and you don't play well overseas, it's like somebody done died, bro.
Right, especially like you had a bad game with it. It's just like it's like throwing gas on a fire.
That plane ticket, right back on that plane, pack them bags, right, right. Calling the agent.
Do you remember what year?
I was in Luxembourg in 2005.
All right, so anybody that got information from any light-skinned 4-man from Rhode Island, like hit me up. We got to get a name.
Drag me.
Got to get a name with that. Okay. Are you a guy that's superstitious, or like did you have like a pregame ritual, like a go-to meal, like music, like or like a nap guy, like or like did you change it up, or did you have a process like a pregame ritual or anything like that?
Never took a nap. I did that in college, and I never wanted to take naps before games because I think I had several bad games doing that. So I never took a nap.
Okay.
My routine was a hot shower, maybe an hour before the game, and then head to the gym and get my deal in. But I always had to take that hot shower. That was my deal.
So that was the big thing, like just taking a shower. That was the biggest thing for every game.
Soak in there for a while.
What who's your favorite player? Just all like if you just had to say like if somebody that maybe that you watched and patterned your game around, or just somebody that you just maybe growing up, like who was your favorite player either then or like now, somebody that you just love to watch, college or pro?
Yeah, growing up it was Larry Bird, and more of it was because I love that, like the green parquet floor,
jerseys and everything. Okay,
so that green I was attached to that. They were winning at that time. I kind of went through several phases of my favorite player, and so it was Larry, then it was Magic,
right?
And then as I was in high school, it was Karl Malone. That's who I love. So, and obviously MJ, but just trying to get outside the box. Those are some of the guys that I really enjoyed.
Like, a lot of people give me crap, but I always say like my favorite. I mean, I know like I'm not saying GOAT, but like my favorite player to watch is Jamal Crawford. Like I always say, like they say like you ask me who's my favorite player, not who I think is the best.
Yeah.
But somebody I would just like if he's on, like I don't care if it's the third quarter and they getting blown out. If he's in, like I want to watch. Like I'm always trying to watch him move and see what he's doing. But like my favorite player was always Jamal Crawford. That's
always somebody who you kind of patting your game off of, because your game is similar to that.
So and that's somebody who I love to watch. So that's when some people are surprised, like it's not LeBron or like Kobe's, like like course, like I grew up like that was like our Mike to us, like Kobe was us. But like as far as a favorite player would be Jamal Crawford. So I always catch people off guard when I say that. And it's crazy that he doesn't have a job this year, and he like 37, 38, and had 50 in a game last year. So shout out to him as well. Yeah. Last thing, if you had an all-time starting 5, point guard to center, and let's say like the world's coming to an end, and like this team's got to beat the Monstars, who's your 5 that you're putting out there like all time from each position?
Well, at the 1, I would say I'm gonna put Magic.
Okay.
At the 2, you got to put Mike. And then I think at the 3, I've got to roll with Bron.
Okay.
And then if I'm wanting to win a championship, at the 4, there's a lot of fours out there. Let
You
me
got
see how.
Timmy, you got Akeem. So
Yeah, KG, Charles.
yeah,
Honestly, I would take some edge, and I would go with KG
okay,
4, and we'd be big. And then I'm gonna roll with Shaq.
okay. So
Yeah,
that team's more power. It's not a whole lot of shooting on that team, but it's
not a
more
lot of shooting.
dominant. But
We're,
yeah,
we're gonna be long. We're gonna let Mike do his thing, and everybody's gonna
right,
try to find their role. Let KG be long and talk a lot of trash, and Shaq be dominant. And you got Bron and you got MJ. I mean, you got a lot of scoring there and
right.
some making.
Okay, but I always like to hear everybody, because some people were loaded with shooters, some people
Yeah.
got old school mix. So I always wonder who's your top 5. And I guess we're gonna end it. The last thing, what's something that people don't know you probably that don't know you, something that's probably like a hobby or something that they wouldn't know about you if they didn't know you, whether it be fishing, reading a book, making cars. Like what's like a hobby that people that that don't know you on the outside, that close to you, that you have that people wouldn't know.
I would say fishing. Fishing is something I love to do.
Okay.
I could do it every day, all day, and that's without a question. Next to basketball, my family, and all that, fishing's a passion of mine.
Okay, cool. Well, Kill, like I said, I got Kill, is my nickname. But
Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna end it, man. Like I said, this was the first time I did this. I appreciate your time. My first time doing editing stuff. I got to get it edited down and put up. But I'm just giving you your flowers, and there's somebody that's through my journey I met. So I just wanted to hear your story. So I guess I'm making like a basketball diary, and I'm just gonna add you to it and go from there. But I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming on for sure.
No doubt, brother. This is a good platform, and I think you're doing a good thing. I think it'll grow. Anything you need from me, you always know I'm there for you. So you're my guy, man.
Okay.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it, and I'll call you later.
All right, Killer.
Okay. All right, bro.